So, this is the first, I guess you could say, sort of spatial mock-up of all the pieces come together. As you can see, some of the bits have gone together really quite nicely, in that you've got things like the nose, which is to take all the shock out of the inevitable crashes. And then this, you can see I've just blowtorched this to get it into the place that I want as I was freestyling it a bit. And as you can see, just lashing this in, this very, very skinny tail. And interestingly, this is one of the funny things, is that I built this one over here with a very 3D chunky tail. And I realised actually something. I made this really thin, just simply to save time on the print and get the general space. And I realised something really obvious, is that this moves. And I thought, this is like possibly the most important characteristic of a skunk whilst running down, is the fact that the tail wags along a bit like a dog and actually gives it a bit of animation and a bit of, you know, liveliness. And so I sort of realised the, you know, instant error is that this probably needs to almost have maybe something like the fiberglass strut running, and then a few things to give shape to the tail so that it looks sort of big and fluffy. But actually the fact that it is going to waggle around as it sort of corners and steers and all sorts of stuff, I think is oddly going to be a really critical feature of it, to at least to make it look sort of fun and playful. And I think, strangely enough, unlike a sort of professional remote control car, we're not making that. We're making a comedy vehicle. And so, you know, cornering in a slightly clunky, crazed animal sort of way is actually really the essence that I need to preserve in this. And so the one thing that you can probably tell, if you've been following this, that is missing is the feet. And as you can see with this one here, actually I glued it back on, but it actually lost a little foot on the side when I gave it a test in the BMX park. And I realised what is going to be really essential here is that actually even the feet, they've got to sort of boing along as if it's slightly running. So the more sort of animation and the more character I can give it, the better. But from a basic principle of, does all this work and come apart nicely and do its thing, it's going pretty well. I think the thing that this will probably be one of the things that sits on my shelf as like a Mark 1, because everything is sort of super over engineered. These are like 4mm thick struts by 10mm, which is huge over engineering. And then I think I'll probably, and you can probably tell here, there's a ton of holes which aren't even being used. And that's just because I've been playing around and trying to understand it, a bit like a Meccano set. So the trick will be there to go through all of this all over again and basically hollow out all these sections, make less spars, thinner plastic, as thin as I can get away with, while still believing that it's going to take the impact and survive. So yeah, it's been really fun. I feel this is definitely at the stage where it sort of looks usable, and I think it's also worth a bit of a test. But the good news is so far, even with this amount of weight, you can see that it's not sort of bowing down the springs and the shock absorbers, which I did have slight concerns about if I make the whole thing a little bit too heavy. So yeah, it's probably one of these things I always sort of worry about in sort of video tutorials of, is this too granular and you just want to skip to the end and see it all put together. But hoping this is interesting as a sort of genuine process of discovery. And as I said, that often that thing of sometimes little mistakes yielding an insight which then suddenly makes a lot more sense. Okay, take care, bye.